that is now arrived, along with, I guess, the USS Abraham Lincoln, and we may be seeing a strike on Iran soon. We also have news. Tucker Carlson thinks this group, not Muslims, is responsible for jihad against the U.S. What is the latest, he's saying? Big news in Israel as the IDF recovers final hostage after covert operations in northern Gaza. We'll talk about that. Let's see. Trump warns Iran, time is running out. Time is running out. Israel building the foundation of a sovereign AI system. Did you guys know that Benjamin Netanyahu reportedly said that Israel is prepared to be on their own, go on their own? And I think he said it while he was at Mar-a-Lago. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu raised eyebrows recently when he spoke to The Economist about his goal to, quote, taper off the military aid, end quote, provided by the United States. He did so directly from Mar-a-Lago, home of the president, and what could be a message to the United States and its politicians. Well, this is going to get interesting because, all that they're wanting to do with Gaza may not be what Israel really wants to do, and they may be in a place to tell the U.S., go pound sand. We're going to do our own thing. And they may need to do that. They absolutely may need to do that because what we're finding out about this Board of Peace is really troubling. Another headline, can Trump Board of Peace bring calm to Gaza? Why Israel says no. No, it cannot. And Israel may be tired of saying, Mother may I to the U.S. based on military aid and other things. And so maybe they're ready to go on their own, which would be better for America because if we don't stop dividing Israel, I think we're going to keep inviting more and more problems. We'll ask Aaron about that. How about another story? This is over at Gatestone. UN official who financed murder of teenage girl on the Gaza board. UN official who financed the murder of a teenage girl on Gaza board. Article by our buddy Daniel Greenfield. I guess her name is Sigrid Kaag. S-I-G-R-I-D, first name, last name, K-A-A-G. She's been picked for a seat on the Gaza Executive Board by Steve Witkoff. She's been ousted from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1994 after she secretly married a top member of the PLO. Despite having been previously ousted from the ministry for her marriage to a PLO official, she became the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Netherlands. In 2018, she discussed her relationship with Hezbollah, visited Iran and met with its leaders while wearing a headscarf. Geert Wilders, the popular Dutch leader who had rallied the public to defy Islamization, blasted her for submissively bowing. She was forced to admit her ministry had helped pay the salaries of Rena's killers, the young lady, through a nonprofit acting as a front group for a terrorist organization. Kaag allowed $12 million funding to the nonprofit, so-called, despite being repeatedly warned that the money was going to terrorists. Whoa, look at that. That's who's going to sit on this peace board. Good luck with that, fellers. Joining me now is Aaron Lavarco, live from Israel, our man on the ground there, brought to you by our foundation. We send him regular love offerings from our foundation to bring us ministry reports and education. Sent one to him day before yesterday, I believe. So thank you for your support so we can support him and keep him reporting to us and ministering to us with information and news and understanding. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. He joins us now. Aaron, welcome back to the broadcast. You're looking good, my friend.
Thank you, Brennan.
You look a little more well-rested than you have in the last few months.
Well, it could be that it's winter here. Our summers are extremely hot, and they're very long as well, and they grind you down. So the cooler weather here is quite refreshing. But the other thing, listen, it's been relatively quiet since Donald Trump came a couple of months ago, and our captives have returned home. Things have been a lot more calm. And I'm glad to hear the encouraging comment. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's go to what your nation is celebrating right now, big time. I can show the TV audience a little footage here. This is a clock. Israel's hostage clock is going to be turned off, correct? Now that they brought home the body of the last hostage. And it's been on for how many days?
800 and I believe it's 844 days. And it's from a square called the Hostage Square. And this is the father of the last captive that was returned 2 days ago, dead. The 843 days. There we go. And he's giving a speech. I believe it's in English.
843 days. Let's listen to the audio here of this, guys. We'll start it over. Here we go.
For 844 days, the clock kept running, counting every day, every minute, every second, since our world stopped on October 7. We never imagined that clock would reach 3 digits. Thanks God, we can finally stop counting.
Everyone's counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's all over. There's no more clock.
So they were counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to the clock stopped?
They were, Brennan, and all over our country for the last 843, 44 days, we have the symbol, the yellow ribbon. Everywhere around the country, we've got empty chairs waiting for the captives to come back home. We've got yellow burned out cars as a reminder. All kinds of memorials waiting for our captives to come home. And today, 2 days ago, what incredible occasion, event, what an incredible feat by our soldiers and our government. You know, they never left one person behind, even a dead person behind. And the ramifications, I think I sent another video explaining how they actually got this last captive, Brandon. And it's basically a group of doctors and a group of soldiers. They went inside of a dangerous area inside of the Gaza Strip from night until morning, hours and hours and hours. They spent digging up hundreds of bodies, hundreds, looking for our last captive, and they found him. They found him. And the soldier, one colonel, gave the story how he looked over and he heard the lady doctor who, you know, was just so dirty and tired and fatigued and distraught. And she said, quickly, come over here or something like that. And he looked over and he saw a tear running down her face with a smile on her face. And he knew that they had found him. And he is now back. He's back with his family, albeit dead. But for them, who knew already he was dead, for them it is a great closure to this painful experience. And Brandon, it's a closure for our nation. And I'm telling you, it's part of our victory. We got them all home. We're all celebrating. It's unbelievable, the moral victory. It's part of the healing. The fact, you know, to be in a nation where it was constantly on our conscience, always in the background, while we're trying to get on with life and enjoy it, we were always reminded of those people in a living or some in a dead hell under the ground in the Gaza Strip. Now, and of course, Hamas, these animal enemies of ours, they were using it against us to grind us down, to tear us apart by turning against each other, trying to put pressure on our government, which happened. But now that is over, and this is a great time for us. But it doesn't stop there, because now we've already had wind in our sails. This has given us even more.
Well, let's get to that, because your prime minister, he's not tolerating, it doesn't sound like, an international board full of PLO, Hamas, animal lovers. And I don't know, hopefully he's speaking in English here. Listen, let's see what we got, guys.
עכשיו אנחנו מתמקדים בהשלמת שתי המשימות.
All right, it's not in English. But apparently what he has said from the transcript is, quote, I will not allow a Palestinian state. Israel will have full control from the river to the sea, and that includes Gaza. So, you know, I don't know. We're hearing here in the U.S. that he kind of got his invitation to the Gaza board after a bunch of pro-Islamists got their invitations. Whether there's truth to that or not, you can tell us. But it doesn't take too many of these kind of things and he's probably going to cut the U.S. loose and go on his own, which is what he should be doing. And it's what I've been saying for how long now? How long? Since before October 7th, I was saying, quit kissing the ring of Biden in the U.S. Do what you got to do. You got plenty of money. You're a rich nation. If you want to know where some more riches are, if you don't know, go under the ground there in Qumran. I think you have more than enough money under Qumran from Solomon's temple. So get the bulldozers out. Get going, boys. Quit being bound to other countries. Do your own thing. They didn't listen to me, of course. And then here we are. And they need to now stop kissing the ring of Trump and do their own thing. Do your own thing. Sail your own boat. Be your own nation. Do not let us divide your country, Israel. That's my message.
I wish it was that easy, Brandon. And in some ways it is that easy. You're right. How much of a hook does Donald Trump have on Benjamin Netanyahu? And let's not forget that Benjamin Netanyahu, he also is part of, not making America great again, but he wants to make Israel great again. He also, remember this, that he hasn't really faced the accusers of where were you, Mr. Prime Minister, on October the 7th. He's carrying that. It hasn't been dealt with yet. There's going to be a day of reckoning where that's going to have to come to the surface. So in the meantime, he wants to move ahead. He is moving ahead, and that's part of his, let's say, penitence.
Okay, but let's say if he is on the hook with Donald Trump, the question is, how much are Kushner and Witkoff on the hook to Qatar, right? We'll be right back. Go to worldviewtalk.com. Get your satellite phone like I have, because you know what? China is in on our power grid. That is a matter of proven fact. If you want to have communications with your loved ones, your family, your children, maybe your spouse travels, maybe you have a child away at college, you want communication should the grid go down. That's why you need a satellite phone, worldviewtalk.com. But look what else they have. They also have solar generators. I have one of their solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400, a solar generator. So I can, of course, charge my satellite phone. I can run my coffee pot. I can run my whole house if I want to. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com, or use that number, 1-866-738-3224. They have very friendly operators that will explain to you their products, but you can explain to them what it is you're desiring to acquire. How much electricity are you wanting to generate with this solar generator? Well, they'll tell you what size you need. Worldviewtalk.com or 1-866-738-3224. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, website worldviewradio.com. And Aaron Lavarco, our reporter on the ground in Israel, is joining us. Aaron, talk about Donald Trump's got Netanyahu on a hook. I hope that's not true. I hope he's about to cut the line. But we pretty well know Kushner and Witkoff are on a hook of Qatar, are they not? And by the way, I saw a recent report, if it's true, who is for bombing Iran. And apparently the two of the few voting against it, can you guess? Can you guess? Oh, wait a minute. That would be Kushner and Witkoff, according to the report. Let's see. Did Qatar bail out Kushner's building 666 in New York Avenue? New York, what was it? Fifth Avenue, whatever it is. But the well-publicized address is 666, which is weird. And then didn't Witkoff get bailed out by Qatar with some building program or project or something? So are you shocked that they reportedly I wasn't in the room, but according to the reports, are you shocked that they're voting against striking Iran? Shocker, Aaron.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, there's obviously some interest there. I also believe that there's playing politics as well. Good cop, bad cop. You know, they're showing the face. Trump is the bad cop. He's ready to go to war. Kushner, he's playing the good cop. Well, you know, I'm not totally for what my father-in-law, Mr. President, is doing. I'm sure there's a little bit of that as well. But going back to Bibi Netanyahu, his place, to what degree Donald Trump has a hook in him, I don't know. But there's so much at stake here as far as not only the Gaza Strip. You know, the Americans are controlling basically with this peace committee, this group that he's setting up, about 45% of the Gaza Strip. That's a huge amount of land. I mean, compared to places in America, it's small, but for this region, it's a lot. And if he allows these people that he has, you know, called in to come in, it's a big concern. What's interesting, even though you quoted before, Brandon, that Netanyahu is against it, I read just a half an hour ago that he has approved the Palestinian technocrats that have been placed as the Palestinian leaders on this committee. Bibi Netanyahu has approved them, and they have all passed Israeli security. That's important to read. Whether or not it's correct or true or will hold, time will tell. But the fact that our security have placed them under the microscope and have passed them, that says a lot. What I've been reading is that quite a lot of these Palestinian technocrats, they are very close friends for years with Hamas, with Islamic Jihad, with the Palestinian Authority. So there's double messages that I'm reading here, and it's not so easy to follow, and it's not so clear. What I do know is this is either going to head for a great breakthrough, miraculous peace committee, or it's going to be a disaster, an absolute disaster.
Well, we have guys writing on our website that it's going to be a disaster. We've posted articles or Worldview Report. They're talking about the very things you're talking about, why it's, you know, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You can't work with these people. You can't do some kind of partnership with the devil. But there you go. Let me move quickly. We have so much to get to.
Brandon, can I say one last thing on that, which I think is very important? Even if it does look like it may well be a disaster, I was thinking about this. A number of times in the Bible, there were stories where God was totally in control and we got placed in a place of disaster. The Israelites had the Red Sea. You know, Pharaoh and his army, chariots and horses. It was it looked like a disaster, and yet stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. That's what we got to also keep in mind. Even though, being a realist, it does look like a disaster, but we've got to keep praying and believing that God somehow may do a miracle and show his glory through this.
Is his audio high enough, guys? Maybe ask the guys back in Master Control in Milwaukee. His volume's high enough. Seems like it's a little light to me. And I'm wearing an earpiece, so I'll make sure our audience can hear him well enough. Let's go to a tweet by the U.S. Navy. U.S. Navy carrier Air Wing 8 aircraft fly in formation over the world's largest aircraft carrier, Ford-class aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, during Air Aviation Wing's aerial change of command ceremony underway in the Caribbean Sea. U.S. military forces are deployed to the Caribbean in support of the U.S. Southern Command mission, Department of War, directed operations, and the president's priorities to disrupt illicit drug trafficking and protect the homeland. So they're boosting up in the Caribbean. We've got ships moving all over the place. We now have, according to President Trump, an armada that is in the region, and he says they're ready to go. Doesn't sound like Iran is willing to do what needs to be done. And President Trump is reportedly saying that this next attack will be far worse. We have Mike Huckabee, the American ambassador to Israel, saying it's time to burn the kitchen down. He calls to burn down the kitchen in Iran. Many plates of poison, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and Houthis are being served all out of the same kitchen, Tehran. Aaron?
Yeah, good for Mike Huckabee saying that. You know, what Donald Trump says, if Iran come to the negotiating table, what are they going to negotiate, Brandon? What is the Ayatollah going to say? Okay, we're going to give up our vision. We're going to give up our Islamic revolution. That's basically what they've got to do. Trump sees through them buying time. He's done with that. They've played that card. They've basically got to give up the regime and set the people of Iran free. He is not going to do that. So to me, it's all or nothing right now. And I can see that the Iranian regime, they're going to do nothing, except they may well still try to buy time and bluff. But I hope that Donald Trump sees through it, and I think he will. He's certainly got a lot of Navy and Air Force ready to fire. I'm still waiting for a surprise apart from the Navy and the Air Force. Something like the Pages, something like the Mossad or the CIA. I'm waiting for that to happen, but I don't care. As long as this regime gets crushed and the people of Iran set free. This is the most important thing. Not only that we break what Mike Huckabee was saying, we burn the kitchen for where they're serving all these Islamic groups, but also to set the people of Iran free and stop this annihilation of civilians.
Well, we're getting word that there is no, they're not working any deals with this group in Iran.
Well, then we're going to see a lot of action. And, of course, here in Israel, we know what that means for us here.
Iran's threatening. Iran is threatening the U.S., threatening Israel if we attack.
Yeah, and I don't think we've been more ready, Brandon. We've had a lot more time to prepare. We've got the new laser beam defense missile as well that can not only take out ballistic missiles, but it can also take out drones, which are very difficult to deal with. So this could be a game changer. But Bibi Netanyahu has been saying that we will respond with ways that Iran or anybody has seen before. Don't know what that means, but we're ready.
You're ready. All right, let's go to another one, another headline here. Let's see, what do we got? I got a tweet on our Facebook, social media, whatever you call it, True Social by President Trump. A massive armada, he writes, is heading to Iran. It is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. It is a larger fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln than that sent to Venezuela. Like with Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons. One that is good for all parties. Time is running out. It is truly of the essence. As I told Iran once before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. The next attack will be far worse. Don't make that happen again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And that went out today. So Are you guys hearing anything about timeline or time frame? Is there anything on the news? Any bulletins from your government, like have water, have your shelters ready, have food, anything like that going out that gives you any kind of indication? Or is that just a standard procedure all the time in Israel?
Well, it is a standard procedure all the time, but about 2 weeks ago, we were told by the Home Front Guard to open up our bomb shelters again, to have the supplies all stocked up, and our defense minister and top general have called a number of reserves up. Our snow trained units are all planned, ready. So this is more than a usual standby and on high alert. We're on red high alert. The airports, I was just listening to an article saying what's going to happen. Our airports are going to get extra protection, and those that have booked flights, if they book with El Al, they are guaranteed money back, things like this. So, yeah, very much on edge. But you know what, Brendan, especially the timing of the return of this last captive. Honestly, it's bigger than it sounds. Okay, it's just one more captive and he's dead. But this was a very big turning point for us. It finished. It closed a circle, and I wonder whether Donald Trump was actually waiting for that to happen. The timing of it. Let's not forget also Benjamin Netanyahu. He lost his brother Yoni Netanyahu in the raid at Entebbe many years ago, and Benjamin. This is more than personal. This is more than political for Bibi Netanyahu. He's got a lot going. His brother was killed. He came back in a coffin. He's got October the 7th on his conscience. He's got his political future. But something about that last captive that just came home, it has brought a smaller and even a greater, it sounds like an oxymoron, sense of unity back that we experienced in October the 7th and 8th. Once again, the nation is united. The return of that captive. We put aside our left-wing, right-wing political ideas, religious, secular. Where the whole nation is celebrating. This is a victory, and we as I said before, we've got wind in our sails. But who's gonna pull the trigger first? Is it going to be a preemptive strike? We're all waiting, but as far as timeline goes, we're on our edge. I think the nation are tired. We want to get it done. Let's do it.
All right. So we come back. We're going to get a quote by Tucker. Apparently, he is in Saudi Arabia. We'll see what he's saying. Don't go away.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate undersink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity, all from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
Before they commented on it from afar, because I think
you are watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentary, research, high-profile interview, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
Welcome back. Glad you're with us. Can somebody listen to the audio clip? It's 1 minute and 51 seconds. Let me send it to you guys in there as we try to vet these. I don't think there's any cursing in here, but Tucker Carlson is in. I'll send it to you guys by email in there. He is in Saudi Arabia. I want to play the clip, but reportedly he says, quote, I'm pretty fervent. I'm a pretty fervent Christian. Really, Tucker? I'm a pretty fervent Christian, and I feel completely comfortable here in the seat of Islam, end quote. I don't think there are any churches, as the guy points out there on X where he posted this. We'll play this here in a second, but while they're listening to make sure everything's clear to play, I do want to go to this article written by my friend Robert Spencer over at PJ Media. It's at worldviewreport.com, worldviewreport.com, your daily aggregated news site where we put a lot of news up each and every day for you to read. A lot of stuff that's very important, but we don't get to everything. I'd have to be on the air about 10 hours a day to get to it all. But here it is by Robert Spencer at pjmedia.com. In his latest newsletter, Tucker mocks when he calls the fiction, quote, fiction, that Iran is somehow a threat to the United States, end quote. He's ready with the good news, he says flatly, quote, it's not, end quote. Well, that's a relief, writes Robert Spencer. Anticipating the most obvious objection to this claim, Carlson continues, quote, yes, they scream death to America, but they do so in response to our behavior in the region, not out of inherent hatred. America had no Islamist terrorism problem before 1948. That is no coincidence, end quote. As the activist Shabazz Estabam, who posted this section from Carlson's newsletter on X, pointed out, it's not actually true that the U.S. had no Islamic terrorists before 1948. He writes, quote, the U.S. Navy was created in 1798 because of Islamic terrorists off the coast of Libya. They kept kidnapping American sailors and merchants, calling them infidels, end quote. Indeed, America fought its first war against Islamic jihadists who made their Islamic motivations abundantly clear. As the history of jihad details, in 1786, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams met in London. They met with an official in the service of an ambassador to London. Jefferson recounted to Congress what Abraham's response was. This is the individual they met with, Abraham's, when he and Adams asked him, quote, concerning the ground of the pretense to make war upon nations who had done them no injury, end quote. The ambassador answered that it was founded on the laws of the prophet, that it was written in their Quran, that all nations who should not have answered their authority were sinners, that it was their right and duty to make war upon them wherever they could be found, and to make slaves of all they could take as prisoners, and that every Muslim man who should be slain in battle was sure to go to paradise, end quote. Carlson, of course, writes, Robert Spencer, could claim that he was referring to the modern phenomenon of jihad violence against random civilians in key installations in Western countries. And it's true, the U.S. had none of that before 1948, and very little after that either until 1993, the attack on the World Trade Center. The most obvious reason for that is that there were hardly any Muslims in the U.S. before the 1990s, and particularly before 9/11. Tucker Carlson, however, is not interested in such explanations. In saying that there was no problem with Islamist terrorism before 48, he is making the claim that modern-day jihad violence attacks against the U.S. is because of Israel. If the U.S. didn't support the Jews, there would be no problem with Muslims. It's because of meddling in their backyard that they're lashing out. That's what's being implied. That's what Carlson means when he says, yes, they scream death to America, but they do so in response to our behavior in the region, not out of inherent hatred. This is a variant of the old libertarian argument against interventionism in the wake of 9/11 and their jihadist attacks. Carlson appears to be unaware of the Quranic imperative to fight them until persecution is no more and religion is all for Allah, which is an open-ended declaration of war against anyone, no matter how benign and harmless, whose religion is not all for Allah. Here is Tucker Carlson now, a mouthpiece apparently for the Islamists, speaking in Saudi Arabia. Listen to this. Oh, you didn't download it? Well, I got it right here. But you double-checked it for me, so we're clean. Here we go.
And, of course, this year, just a year later, it's like, yeah, of course, everyone's in Saudi. Like, they're... Yeah. And I'm glad to see that because it's reality-based. I'm not here to promote the Saudi government, of course, I'm American, but I think that Saudi Arabia is a fundamentally real country. It's an ancient country. It's the physical center of one of the largest religions in the world, and it is, of course, a force because of its resources and its diplomacy. So, like, I'm glad to see a real country get treated like a real country, like an actual country, not just a client of some other country. So it's good.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if people had some ideas about those things you've spoken about, the graciousness, the hospitality, the kindness, before they commented on it from afar? Because I think it's an experience which, once you've had, changes your perception.
I strongly agree with that. And I've taken a lot of abuse in my country for saying things like that out loud. I'm, for whatever it's worth, a pretty fervent Christian. And I feel completely comfortable here in the seat of Islam, not because, right? I mean, and why is that? And just saying that is a threat somehow to some people who are propagandists and liars. And but it's true, so I'm going to say it.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a little psychological projection going on there. What? Right? I mean, how many lies has this guy been caught in? How much propaganda has he been doing, or letting propagandists come on his show? Completely censored. No debate, no pushback.
And moreover, I think it points up like something that's really important about life, which is it's worth meeting people and seeing things before you try to assess them.
Oh, that's a great life lesson. I wish more people
I try not to
understood that.
talk about anything I haven't smelled. And I mean that, and including people. Like, how do you really know? What you're doing is you are taking other people's word for something.
Wait a minute, that's what he does all the time. He has these guys on that spew their anti-Semitism and false history, and he regurgitates it. I mean, this guy he is such a clown.
Which, if it's, say, your wife or your children or someone you love, is okay. But if it's like a propagandist you've never met who's trying to convince you to do something against your own interests, maybe you should not take his word for it.
Wow, what a walking biblical Romans 1 fool. But then again, I never liked him with his little bow tie when he was back on CNN and Crossfire. He always gave me the creeps. Maybe that's just discernment. But then again, you want to try to be nice and people change, so let's, But I guess some of us, our initial reaction to him on CNN when he was there was like something wasn't right. Clearly, there's something, I think, spiritual going on. Remember, the guy claims he was attacked by a demon. So I think there's something spiritual going on in this guy's life. But of course, we've been asking our audience to pray that God would give him over and sift him like Job. But Job, of course, was one working for God. But I think Carlson, biblically speaking, people should be praying Genesis 12:3 on him. Again, as I said months ago, as an example to the world. And maybe that's what we're seeing. Maybe what we're seeing is the more people are saying, God, judge Tucker Carlson if it's your will on the world stage, for people to see that you mean it when you say, I'll bless those who bless you, I'll curse those who curse you. Judge him right on the world stage for everybody to see that. And maybe that's what we're seeing, that the more he's being judged, the more he's going, Looney Tunes. He's losing it on the world stage for everybody. This, I think, is actually part of God's judgment. What he's saying and doing on the world stage, I think, is part of God's judgment. Pretty soon, he might be like Nebuchadnezzar, eating grass in a field for 7 years.
Brennan, as you're talking, it's exactly what I'm picking up. And a verse that comes to me is from 1 Corinthians 2, verse 7. It says, we speak the wisdom of God. And then it says, yet not the wisdom of this world. We speak the wisdom from God, the two different kinds of wisdom. And when Paul wrote that to the church at Corinth, he also was addressing spiritual babies and mature believers. And, maybe Tucker Carlson calls himself a Christian, but my understanding of a baby Christian is someone who is not strong in the word, who only drinks the milk of the word, not the meat of the word. When we eat the meat of the word, it gives us spiritual wisdom, according to what Paul is writing. So, and I've said this all along, he may call himself a Christian, but does he know the word of God? Does the word of God guide his judgment and his perception of what's going on? I don't think it does. And if that's the case, then it's just the wisdom of this world, which actually Paul says this wisdom is not from above. It is earthly, soulish, demonic. He actually goes on a downward trend in the book of James. Earthly, soulish, or sensual, demonic wisdom. How about that? That's Paul.
That's pretty good, Aaron. 1-800-347-9829. 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. 1-800-347-9829. Here's an article. Israel building the foundations of a sovereign AI system. That's where, I mentioned earlier that The Economist is reporting that Benjamin Netanyahu said that we're going to taper off the military aid from the United States. Some are saying it may be because you guys are building up such an AI infrastructure that is going to allow your country to have massive independence and be extremely productive and generate so much revenue that you won't need other people's help. This is in Israel Today. Does that make sense to you? Are you hearing anything like that?
Yeah. We've talked a number of times, Brannon, about in the prophecy of the war of Gog and Magog, where it talks about these nations coming to take the spoils. And we've discussed what these spoils may be. It may be oil under the ground. It may be water. We have an incredible amount of desalinization plants where we're more than self-sufficient with water. We're actually providing countries like Jordan water. It could be that. It could be the treasures at the Dead Sea, in the caves of Qumran that we've talked about as well. But now this is a possibility as well. Maybe we're going to get so high-tech creative. Maybe it's with the help of Elon Musk. I don't know. I know he's very supportive of Israel. He actually, during the war, he gave us the Skylink for free of charge. But no, there is a lot of talk about this. There's a lot of concern. But as long as it's in the right hands and used for good, it can help build our nation up and make it more secure, make it stronger. But our enemies may not like that. Our neighbors may not like that as well. And what you said, we may well end up, saying to America and Europe, we're okay, thank you, but no thank you, and go it on our own.
Speaking of Europe, if you go over to worldviewreport.com, I have another article linked over there. Where is the EU? Refuses to designate Iran's brutal Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps a terrorist. Okay, that's over at the Gatestone. I mean, with friends like that, who needs IRGC, right? With friends like that, who needs enemies, as the old saying goes? 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Paul is going to get in here. He says Trump is all show, no go. Well, Ann, she wants to comment on Tucker. What do you guys want to comment on or question? 1-800-347-9829. Welcome back. Oh, by the way, just a little quick update, just so you guys don't think we're down here acting like a bunch of babies when it comes to the weather, because we can do that sometimes here in the South. This storm, we were telling you was going to be a bad deal, seriously, potentially life-threatening bad deal. All all the schools are still canceled. They have now announced they will be canceled through the week. And we have out on the interstate, a few miles from where we're at right now on I-55 in Mississippi, right over the border, people that spent the night on the interstate because there was so much ice, black ice, wrecks, semis blocking the road. We have the footage, we have the pictures, and we are all, of course, very worried yesterday afternoon. We were hearing this. And then the word came out that we may, the authorities, first responders may not be able to get these people out of their cars and get them home before dark. And it was going into the teens and they're going to run out of gas. And sure enough, some of them have been in bad spots. Apparently the National Guard, which is already in the Memphis area, is called out to help, was able to help some folks, but this is turning into a big deal. I mean, the pictures, the video footage, the trees falling, the power outages are still out. I mean, this has turned into a huge deal with interstates literally like an ice rink. And now, of course, they're saying the East Coast may be getting more. So I just wanted to update you guys. It is bad news. If you have any plans of traveling down here to the Memphis, Mid-South, northern Mississippi, any parts of Tennessee, you certainly from Memphis up to Nashville, you may want to stay away till this is all cleared up. Let's go to the calls. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, 1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Paul, line one. Hi, Paul. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Brandon. Thanks you so much for your show. I wish you would wake people up and make them realize that Trump has been lately labeled as Taco Man. Taco standing for Trump always chickens out. And, I mean, what do they say in the Bible about dividing Israel? And that's exactly what he's doing. I mean, he's not following God's word at all. And Israel's got to learn and not depend on this guy for anything.
Thank you.
Or Iran or anybody who's in, but it's just, to me, it's so how they come up with all these ideas, what he might do and what they think he's doing. He's doing exactly what he always does.
Paul, I love your call. We like to have a lot of opinions here, folks. If you agree, call in. If you disagree, you can call in. There are many that are upset on social media last night with his comments about you shouldn't have a gun. The guy showed up in Minnesota. He had a gun and 2 clips. That's bad. That's bad stuff. And of course, a lot of Second Amendment folks are saying, I'm sorry, a licensed gun carrier having a gun and 2 clips, that's not bad. There's nothing bad about that. If you're a licensed carrier, so a lot of folks are unhappy with this message that's being sent. So again, a lot of people are not happy, right? One more issue dividing conservatives while the liberals are so united and destroying the country. Your thoughts, your comments, 1-800-347-9829. Ann, line 4. Thank you for calling Ann. Go right ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Aaron. I feel like you guys are my friends. I've been listening to this show for years.
You are our friend, Ann. You are our friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I look forward to seeing you both in heaven. So
and maybe before then, if you're in Wisconsin, we may see you this fall in October in Milwaukee.
Well, I'll try to come, and I do live right in Milwaukee. So I have a comment. Maybe if Tucker Carlson loves it in Saudi Arabia so much, maybe he should do us all a favor and just stay there.
He was talking about buying an apartment in Qatar. Did you know that, Ann? Yeah. He was talking about buying an apartment in Qatar.
Well, then maybe he should join the rest of them that are headed for there, too, then.
I think you're right, Ann. Thank you, Ann. Let's go to another Ann. This is the day of Anns. Ann in Dallas, Texas, line 2. Hi, Ann.
Hey. I just want to express that I'm very disappointed in Tucker because I've really been a follower of his, a fan of his for many years. I was very upset when Murdoch, fired him from Fox, and I know a lot of us are fans of his. Just very, very disappointed. So I guess, he's a baby Christian. I'm not going to say he's not a Christian. Only God can judge a man's heart, but it sounds like maybe he is a baby Christian and he just is not enlightened. But it was just very disappointing to hear what he had to say.
I agree.
I thank y'all for what you're doing.
Thank you, Ann. And I agree. It's disappointing. And I pray that's what it is, Ann, that he's a baby Christian. I pray that's the issue. That would be the best thing for him. That's for sure. By the way, though, I'll tell you something, folks. There's a lot of people we don't interview on this network. There's a lot of people we don't interview. People will email or write letters. You should interview this person. You should interview that person. There's some people we don't interview because we know who they really are. You guys know their personal persona. We know what they're really like. We know what they're really doing behind the scenes, their behavior, their lifestyle, their immorality, and some of them, their sexuality. They're not straight. You all think they're straight, but in the movement, we all know who they are and what they're up to. And a lot of us don't want to tie our brand and reputations to them and networks. So when people suggest you should interview this person, that person, sometimes the reason we don't interview these people and we have their cell phone numbers, the whole 9 yards, is because we know that's not who they really are. And I pray that's not the case for Tucker, but I can just tell you there's a lot in the conservative movement that are not what the public thinks they are. And I'm not saying that you have to be perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. But there are some of these people out here, their lifestyle is really disgusting. And you just don't want to be around them. And you certainly don't want to be promoting them because you're going to be embarrassed later at best. Randy, line 1. Hi, Randy. Thanks for calling in, Randy.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I just have this question. These spiritual advisors that are around Trump, what are they telling him? And as far as Tucker and people like that, these things don't surprise me because we're told in Scripture that probably the number one thing we're going to see in the last days is deception.
Well, let me just say, Randy, answer your question for the music calls. Great question, by the way. I mean, if his spiritual advisor is Paula White, a false teacher, what do you think she's telling him? Most of these people would be telling him Israel has been replaced by the church. So there's a lot of things he could be being told. Now, does that mean he doesn't have some Zionists and Christian Zionists around him? Yes, but that doesn't mean he's listening. And I'm told by people who work closely with him that he often listens to the last voice out of the room, but he also listens to people that he deems to be very, very successful. You know what? There are a lot of very, very wise people in this world that don't have much materially, but they certainly have biblical insight that we should be listening to, and he should be as well. But pray for him. Pray for him. Take care. We're back with Aaron out of Israel. Aaron, what do you think of those calls?
Yeah, nice people. And, they obviously can see something in Tucker Carlson. Like I was saying earlier, there is the wisdom of God and there is the wisdom of man. And I just picked up when you played that clip of Tucker Carlson before, he seemed to be rambling on, and he was trying to dig deep for something, but there was no substance actually there. So I think sometimes he gets involved with things that he doesn't really know enough about. And when it comes to Islam, if you don't know the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of Islamic history and what they have done, and many of those years and many of their conquests have got nothing to do with the Jews and the United States of America. It's simply got to do with their ideology and their religion. He doesn't see it. He's interpreting things through his very small lens of what's going on in America today. He's not looking at the bigger picture, and that's through the eyes of history. And if he doesn't, and if we all don't, then we're going to be deceived and trapped, and we're going to have very narrow lens. They don't have narrow lens. They have the bigger picture. They know their history. They know when they've been defeated, and many of the times they take revenge. For example, September 11, Brannon, there was a battle. It was the Battle of Vienna, I believe. The Battle of Vienna, that is when the Muslims lost. It was, I believe, 1564 or something like that September the 11th. And Osama bin Laden deliberately, and he commented, he chose that date to take revenge of something that happened almost 500 years previous. So Tucker Carlson, he needs to get out his history books.
Indeed, he does. By the way, we've got reports coming in of 11 people injured as canopies at 2 different gas stations over the border in Mississippi have collapsed. They've collapsed, and 11 people injured at 2 different gas stations. I mean, this is just not letting up down here, folks, and it's getting colder. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you put it into any, like Twitter, put in northern Mississippi, I-55, you guys will be shocked at some of the pictures of what's going on down here. So there you go, another item of that coming in. Aaron, let's end on a good note here. I hear you've turned in another couple great videos. Your last one at Qumran, we got that aired, those aired. But I hear you just have turned in another one to Logan.
Well, correct. Yesterday, I was up on the Golan Heights. It was a little risky going up because at any moment, if things break out up there, I'm in the middle of nowhere. And believe me, there was an eerie feeling up there. It's a very open area. Anyhow, I went to one place called Katsrin, which is a good historical site there, and I reference a New Testament story there. But the other special place was a place called, we say in Hebrew, Ramat Trump, which means Trump Heights. And it's a community that have called that community the Trump Heights, or the Heights of Trump. And it's to honor him for declaring the Golan Heights as sovereign Israeli territory. He did that in 2019. So I took a video, gave a little bit of a history up there, and showed a little bit of footage. I've been able to get what's called a gimbal now.
Oh, good.
Which means, yeah, I went for it, which means that instead of me wanting to show something where I have to show behind me because I can't flip my screen around, now I can flip things around. And so you'll see that on this latest video.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Logan? Did you know that? Yeah, look at that. By the way, I got another report in here, Logan. Hotels in and around Nashville area are at capacity amid power outages. Yeah. Again, we keep telling everybody of the importance of having backup solar generators, gas generators, LP generators. By the time some of these folks get done spending all the money they're going to spend on hotels, they could have bought their generators. Some of these solar generators are not that expensive, by the way. Let me just plug one of our sponsors, worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com, okay? You can also call them. Maybe they can put the number on the screen. There you go. Thank you, guys, because they can answer all your questions. And if you're trying to run your refrigerator, whatever, or your whole house, they can tell you what you need for one of these solar generators. 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. We'll keep you posted, folks, as there's Arctic air here as they're calling it, in the Mid-South. Aaron, God bless you. Aaron Lavarco, lighttothenationsministry.com, brought to you by our foundation, worldviewfoundation.com.
Faith, spiritual